Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ruben and I'm doing a week-by-week series from my private pilot license all the way until my commercial license, and I'm currently on my private pilot license getting ready for that check ride right now. And it's gonna be a longer video. I'm gonna show you guys on how I prep for my check ride, going through every single one of my flashcards here. It seems like from the last video, a lot of you guys requested to see all the flashcards. There's like 200 of them. I don't know how many there actually is, but there's a lot of flashcards. So sit back, relax, grab your studying material, grab some flashcards. Maybe you guys can write down some that I have that maybe you guys don't, and just get a feel for the way I'm studying, I guess. Grab a coffee. I got my coffee right here. Cheers, but get ready for this long video because going through these is going to take some time. But yeah, before I actually get started into reading all of these, I want to say that I am not a flight instructor. I am nowhere near a flight instructor. I still got a long ways to go. And take my flashcards with a grain of salt. You know, I made these myself, and these aren't like FAA approved or anything. I got all my answers from my instructor or from the PHAC. So yeah, I just want a little disclaimer before I get freaking shot down because maybe one of my flashcards is wrong. But yes, so I separated my flashcards in 5 different sections. Is it 5 or 4? In 4 different sections. I thought I had 5. Yeah, 4 different sections. We have instrument, we have airspace, general, and weather. And I think it would be best if we started with general. So kind of the general things of the private pilot license. Alrighty, let's get into it. I got like 70% on this camera. Hopefully it lasts. I'm gonna try to knock this out under 30 minutes. Alrighty, I think I'm just gonna read them off, and that way you guys can just write them down. Alrighty, so starting off with the general things for a private pilot license. All right, we have daytime VFR requirement equipment. This is a tomato flames. So this is your airspeed indicator, tachometer, oil pressure gauge, manifold pressure gauge, altimeter, temperature gauge, oil temperature, fuel gauge, landing gear position indicator, anti-collision lights, magnetic direction indicator, ELT, and seat belts. Then you have your nighttime VFR required equipment. This is flaps, fuses / circuit breakers, landing lights, anti-collision lights, position lights, and source of power. Required documents. This is AeroPEC. This is airworthiness certificate, registration, radio operating certificate, operating limitations, weight and balance data sheet, placards, external data plate, and compass deviation card. I kind of know all these. I don't know if I should like actually do it as like I'm studying or like just read them off. I think I'm just gonna read them off because it's gonna be smoother and a little quicker. Required inspections. This is your annual, your VOR, which is every 30 days, 100 hours, altimeter, transponder, ELT, and airworthiness directives. And this would be aviated. A lot of acronyms. All right. This is how to recover from a spin. This is PAR. P-A-R-E. Power idle, ailerons neutral, rudder opposite, and elevator down. Some of these are just for myself, like what's Scottsdale ground, what's the ATIS tower. You guys don't need to know all that. Yeah, and a lot of these flashcards are also just for me to like remember some of these things, you know. What is chart supplement used for? This is used for all airport data. I'm actually going to do this as I study. Let's study together. Why not? All right. How much does fuel weigh? That is 6 pounds. Yep, 6 pounds a gallon. How to clear an area? You're going to have to do 2 90s or 1 180. Yep. What is a power on stall? Power on stall is the stall without any flaps. That's the way I remember it. Yep. It says reduce power while maintaining altitude, add power, pull back until stall horn, then recover. What is power off stall? Power off stall is full flaps. That's the way I remember it. The higher you fly, the less fuel you burn. True or false? This is true. True. When are nav lights / position lights required? And where are they positioned? They're required only at night, and it is green to my right, white in the back, and red to my left. Yep. What does clean mean when talking about the aircraft? Clean means that there's no flaps. Yep, no flaps. When are landing lights required? Required at night. When are strobe lights required? This is all the time. What is the squawk for two-way radio communication failure? This is 7600. Squawk for VFR. This is 1200. Squawk for hijack. This is 7700. No, 7500. 7500. Squawk for emergency. 7700. Yep. What is Zulu time? Zulu time is universal time. What does VOR from mean? VOR from, that means that where you are in correlation to the VOR. That's the way I remember it. Yep. What does a VOR2 mean? VOR2 means is the VOR you need to be going to get to the VOR. A little confusing. What are 3 things you need for a cross country? This is your weather. You need your weather. You need your chart supplement and your sectional. I also wrote down in here like my emergencies, what I need to do for my emergencies. So for engine power loss in flight, it kind of the maneuvers. I'm not going to really go over those. And the fire one. By the way, everything in here is for a Piper Cherokee. How do you stop someone from hyperventilating? You can do the bag technique. You can talk to them. And you could also just try calming them down a little bit. But yeah. Explain first, second, and third class medicals. So if you are over the age of 40, if you're over the age of 40, your first class lasts for 6 months, your second class lasts for 1 year, and then your third class lasts for 2 whole years. So yeah, 6 months, a year, 2 years. If you're under the age of 40, If you're under the age of 40, it's first and second class is 1 year, and then you have an additional 4 years for the third class. So 5 years for the third class, 1 year for first class, and 1 year for second class. And this is the way that I wrote it on my flashcard. Hopefully you guys could read that. There you go. You guys don't even know that. What type of engine do we have? We have a Lycoming IO 360, has 180 horsepower. It's horizontally opposed, naturally aspirated, direct drive, air cooled. Yep. What is the four-stroke process? Four-stroke process is you have intake, compression, power, exhaust. Yep. 4 uses of oil. You have it cools the plane, it lubricates the plane, it cleans the plane, and it seals the plane. Nice. The engine, not the plane. I guess same thing. What is Newton's law? Newton's law is every action has an equal or opposite reaction. Yep. What are the 4 C's of a go-around? Excuse me. You have cram, clear, climb, and call out. Yep. What are the left turning tendencies? You have Newton's law, P factor, and corkscrew effect. Knowing those is also beneficial. Hold on, someone keeps buzzing me. Yeah, the left turning tendencies. Newton's third law. Yeah, I'm not going to explain all of them. How many days after an incident do you need to report to NTSB, which is National Transportation Safety Board, I believe. It's 10 days after. Oh, one thing I was struggling on is on the sectional, you know how they have all the signs and things like that? Like, for instance, the star. So I was practicing these as well. So the star is operation is part-time. I still struggle with these. The C is follow common traffic advisory frequency. Just the L is lighting in operation is from sunset to sunrise. Is that? Yeah. The L with the star is lighting limitations exist. The star with the R and P means special conditions exist. And the aviation world likes to abbreviate everything, so I also have a ton of those written in here because I struggle with a lot of the abbreviations. I'm like, bro, what the heck does that mean? Like NTSB, for instance. Yeah, but it's National Transportation Safety Board, yeah. What is a unicom? A unicom is it's kind of like a service. Maybe you could ring for, I don't know, gas, parking, things like that. Yeah, any service. When does VX and VY meet? That is at the absolute service ceiling. Yep. Don't need to know that. When does the registration of a plane expire? This expires after 7 years. What is the maximum airspeed below 10,000 MSL? This is 250 knots. And if you are in class Bravo airspace, I believe it's 200 knots. What are fuel requirements for day VFR flight? For day VFR flight, you need enough fuel to get there and 30 minutes of extra fuel. And if you're doing the flight at night, you're going to need 45 minutes extra of fuel. Yep. What are the types of hypoxia? You have, I really struggle with saying some of these words, so don't roast. I have hypoxic, I think it's called hypoxic, hypemic, hypotoxic, and stagnant. And knowing what all of them means is very good as well, which I have all of them written right there. What is a NOTAM? A NOTAM is a notice to airmen. This is one of those things, like what does ADM stand for? And it's aeronautical decision making. What does CRM stand for? This is crew resource management. What does dirty mean when talking about the aircraft? This means full flaps. I believe it's like landing configuration. Yep. What is the moment? The moment is the product of the weight of an item multiplied by its arm. I still struggle with that. What is CG when referring to the plane? At the point at which the plane would be balanced. So like if you lift it up, that's where center of gravity is. If you could hold it on a string. What does empty weight of a plane include? Empty weight is pretty much everything in the plane, all usable fuel, all the oil, everything, except obviously people and things like that. What is the datum? This is the reference point for the CG. So pretty much where the reference point of where you start calculating that CG. How much does oil weigh? This is 7 pounds. Yeah. Oh, 7.5 pounds per gallon. Whoops. What documents do you need to act as pilot in command? You need a pilot certificate, government photo ID, and your medical. What is the checklist you need to do before every flight? The I'm safe checklist. Yeah. So it's illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and emotion. What do our flaps do? Our flaps create lift and they create drag, I believe. Yep. They are a lift creating device that increases drag. What are the 4 ways we could generate lift? This is Bernoulli's principle, Newton's third law, Venturi effect, and Coanda effect. The main 2 there that you really kind of need to know, at least the ones that I'm going to really get to know. Let me zoom this in a little bit more. Is Bernoulli's principle and Newton's third law. There. 5 types of flaps. Slotted, plain, Fowler, split, and slotted flower. On our plane, we have plain and slotted. 2 types of drag. We have induced drag and parasite drag, I believe. Yep. 3 types of parasite drag. This is form, skin, friction, and interference. What are the 4 time zones in the United States? We have Pacific, Central, Mountain, and Eastern. Does the propeller go faster on the inside of the propeller or on the outside? It's on the outside. Yep. What is the first thing to do in an emergency? I was actually watching a video about this of someone doing their mock check ride, and the DPE said that they really want to hear that the first thing you want to do is pull out your checklist, because that's really important, I guess. In my mind, I'd be like trying to do what like is best for the plane, and then checklist, but checklist, that way you have it in front of you and then go ahead and maneuver. If something doesn't work on the plane, I believe you can, there's 4 things. You have the COEL, the kinds of equipment list. You have a tomato flames, which is 91.205 in the FAR-AM. Airworthiness directives, 91.213, and that's like remove and deactivate what you're allowed to do with that. What can you fix? Where can you find what you can fix on the plane? This is part 43. I wrote some of these down as well as like where I could find them in the FAR-AM, because it's good to know where you could find them in the FAR-AM. TPA is traffic pattern altitude, and it's 1,000 above ground level. What altitude do you turn crosswind? Great question. 400 below traffic pattern altitude. Pressure altitude formula. This is PA equals current altimeter setting minus the standard 29.92 parentheses 1,000 plus field elevation. Focus. There you go. Forward CG. This is good. This is what a lot of these DPEs ask, from what I hear. If there's a forward center of gravity on the plane, you have a lower cruise speed, a higher stall speed, more stable, your plane is more stable, you have a difficulty in rotating, and it's easier to recover from a stall. If CG is aft, then you have a higher cruise speed, lower stall speed, your plane is less stable, and it is harder to recover from a stall. What is a PIREP? PIREP is a pilot report. What is basic med? Basic med is you can't get paid, you can't carry more than 6 passengers. I believe that's including yourself. You can't go more than 250 knots, and you have had to obtain a medical past 2006 to obtain a basic med. Yeah, that's pretty much all for general. Pretty boring stuff, dude. No, but this is like bread and butter of everything. So these other ones are a little bit lighter. So if you're still here watching this video, you're a real one, and I pray that you're gonna pass your check ride. Hopefully these are helping you guys. Hopefully this is as beneficial as I anticipated it to be and not boring. We're going on to instrument next. On all the instruments. And believe it or not, I already know a lot of those. I know all these flashcards. I've been ripping through them, but it's just fast for me to read them. So, yeah. All right. The pitot tube. The pitot tube. What does the pitot tube, which instrument does it run into? This is the airspeed indicator. I'm going to just flash them like this. Boom. The static port. The static port runs into which instrument? This runs into the the static port runs into the airspeed indicator, the altimeter, and vertical speed indicator. Yep. What does the static port do? It measures pressure in the air. Yep. What are the 3 pitot-static instruments? This is airspeed indicator, altimeter, and vertical speed indicator. Yep. How does the vertical speed indicator work? And I have it drawn out right there. So you have your static port that goes into the little diaphragm right there. And there is a little bit of a calibrated leak which goes into the casing, and it has like a 3 to 5 second delay. How does airspeed indicator work? You have your static port that runs into the casing, and then you have your ram air that goes into the diaphragm with a little bit of a drain. And yeah, that's how you get your airspeed. I got it drawn out right there. How does the altimeter work? The altimeter, oh my God, I can't speak. The altimeter works by, you have your static port that goes into the casing, you have your wafers in there that expand depending on your altitude because of the pressure, and what else? Also, if you're bugging your altimeter, it doesn't change the wafer size, it just changes the face of the instrument. That's how I remember it. So we have a G3X in our plane. Might be a little bit different if maybe you're in a Cessna, but how does air data work? Air data, you have your pitot mast, which you have your ram and 2 static little ports that go in there, and you have your outside air temperature. Those 2 run into your ADC, which is your air data computer, and from there on it shows you onto your G3X, and there it is drawn out. What is your ADRS? That is your air data attitude heading reference system. Yep. How does attitude heading reference system work? You have, struggle with me because some of these words are just so tough to say, but you have your magnometer, and then you have your accelerometer, something like that. Your magnometer is, here, I'll just show you guys. It's that thing right there. Hopefully, focus. That thing right there. Pretty much it's like a circle with some holes in it. And dependent on where you are, the amount of flow that goes into it kind of shows you your heading. That's the way I interpret it. The accelerometer, you have it's with lasers and mirrors, and this detects motion. If yeah, that's how you get your attitude and your turn coordination. There you go. What are the 2 principles of gyroscopic instruments? You have rigidity in space, and you have gyroscopic precession. What are 3 gyroscopic instruments? You have your attitude indicator, your turn coordinator, and your heading indicator. Yep. How does the attitude indicator work? Your attitude indicator works by, it is rigidity in space, and your pump, the vacuum pump, is engine driven, and this is a horizontal spinning disc. There you go, and that's kind of how I drew it. These are too tough to draw. How does the heading indicator work? Your heading indicator works by, it is still rigidity in space, but this one's a vertical disc. The vacuum that it runs on is still engine driven as well. How does turn coordinator work? Turn coordinator is the electric pump, and this one is gyroscopic precession, and it also is vertical spinning. There you go. Where in the forum can you find out how to get your license? So everything, pretty much how to obtain a license. This is going to be part 61 of your FAR-AIM. Where in the FAR-AIM can you find out how to lose your license? This is going to be part 91 in the FAR-AIM. What are the compass errors? The compass errors are, it's VD Mona. That's why I remember it. So V, variation, D, deviation, um, magnetic dip, oscillation, northerly like compass errors, turning errors, and acceleration errors. That's unos and ands. So undershoot north, overshoot south, accelerate north, decelerate south. What illusions can you experience as a pilot? This is ice flags. So it's inversion, Coriolis, uh, elevator, false horizons, leans, um, autokinesis, graveyard spins, graveyard spiral, and somatogravic. Yeah, I don't know if I said that last one right, but so we have all the V, the VA, VNE, VSO, VSI, VR. So VA is your maneuvering speed. This is 113 square root, your current, and it's right here. Where is it? So I'll give you guys a visual. There you go. Maybe freeze that right there. That way it gives you all those. But that's all different from plane to plane. So unless you're flying the same plane as me, it wouldn't matter. Explain the GPS system. The way I explained it is there's 24 satellites, and dependent on your speed and how fast you're getting there, it kind of bounces off a signal, and that kind of tells the GPS where you're at. That's the way I explain it. How does our transponder? What does our transponder do? Our transponder tells ATC our location, our tail number, our heading, our altitude, our speed, all that good stuff. What do the magnetos do? Magnetos make the sparks go off in the spark plug. How many magnetos and how many spark plugs and how many cylinders do we have? We have 2 magnetos, 8 spark plugs, and 4 cylinders. What does the alternator do? The alternator charges the battery in flight. Yep. How does the engine get going? This is kind of like the process of the engine. Start button, battery, starter, and the alternator kind of go off. Then once the flywheel gets going, everything starts to get going as well. The crankshaft, magnetos, and everything else. The pitot tube, that's it. That's it for instrument. This is a lot of information. How bored are you guys right now watching this? All right, how deep are we in? 36 minutes. Fudge, dude. All right, we'll go for weather next. We'll leave airspace for the last one because it's a lot. Alrighty. 3 types of low-level clouds. I got 20%, so I'm going to try to rip through these. All right. 3 types of low-level clouds. We have stratus, stratocumulus, nimbostratus, and this is 6,500 below AGL. 2 types of middle clouds. This is altostratus and altonimbus. No, altostratus and altocumulus. My bad. All right, 3 types of high clouds. We have cirrus, cirrostratus, and cirrocumulus. 3 types of icing. We have structural, instrument, and induction. The characteristics of a cold front. This is thunderstorms, showering, precipitation, turbulence, cumulus clouds, good visibility. Characteristics of a occluded front. The way I talk about this is that it's just a cold front, but way worse. That's literally what I have written down here. Characteristics of a warm front. This is stable air, stratus clouds, and bad visibility. What are the thunderstorm ingredients? This is moisture, lifting action, and unstable air. 3 types of air mets. This is Tango, Zulu, Sierra. Tango being turbulence, Zulu being icing, Sierra being mountain obstruction. 3 stages of thunderstorms. This is cumulus, mature, and dissipating. What is a convective segment? This is very, very intense weather. Remember, convective segment, very intense weather. Thunderstorms, severe icing, surface winds above 50 knots, and hail more than 3/4 of an inch. Just hail is good enough. What are sigmets? This is like volcanic ash, dust storm, severe icing. What is dew point? At which temperature, at which air becomes saturated? Yep, the temperature at which air becomes saturated. What factors affect air density? This is heat, altitude, and humidity. How are temperatures above 24,000 identified? This is with a negative. Wind shear. What is wind shear? Wind shear is when wind is coming from different directions and at different speeds. Yep. Wind gust. What is wind gust? Wind gust is when wind is coming from the same direction, but just at different speeds. Does high humidity have an increase or decrease on aircraft performance? It has a decrease. Yep. Does air density increase or decrease the higher altitude you are? It decreases. Yep. Does the plane run better in high or low pressure? In high pressure. What is a TAF and how long is it good till? A TAF is a weather report and it is good from 24 to or 30 hours and it is updated 4 times a day. What does TAF stand for? Man, they're sticky. Terminal Aerodrome Forecast. 3 types of weather briefings. This is standard, abbreviated, and outlook. Standard being kind of the most common, the most in-depth, I believe. Abbreviated is like a shortened standard, and outlook is kind of something you do like hours in advance, like 6 hours plus in advance. 4 types of front. You have cold, warm front, occluded front, and stationary. Then I drew out the like fronts. So that right there is a occluded front. This is a stationary front. This is a cold front. This is a warm front. I also drew these when you're looking at like the whole weather thing. What does that mean? That's 50 knots of wind. Yep. This one is 20 knots. There's like 2 lines up there. I don't know if you could see. Guys, I got 11%. We got to bust through these faster. Then that one, the little short line, that's 5 knots. What does this mean? Because we get this sign on the weather chart. That is, that's like calm winds, I believe. Yep. What are these called when you get the weather? This is isobars. Yep. Explain high and low pressure. This is a good one. High pressure is better performance. Also, high pressure, the air goes, I believe, in clockwise, and high pressure wants to descend. Kind of the opposite for low pressure. Worst performance, when you're in low pressure, it goes counterclockwise, and low pressure wants to rise. That's it for the weather. We got 10%. We're about to get through this. Let's go. Airspace. Let's go through it. What are the dimensions for G airspace? So what is like the height, all that. For class G, if you're inside the blur, it is 700. If you're outside, it is 1,200. Yep, MSL. What are the dimensions for class E airspace? I believe it goes to 17,999. Yep, MSL, and it is everywhere. Everywhere else. What are the dimensions of D airspace? This goes, it goes four nautical miles around that airport, and 2,500 feet AGL. Yep. What are the dimensions for class C airspace? You have, this is like the small little class B airspace, so you have 5 nautical miles, and then it gets a little bigger, and then it goes to 10 nautical miles, and this is up to 4,000 AGL. What are the dimensions for class B airspace? Class B airspace is individually tailored, but it starts from the surface, and then you also have that big circle around, which is called the Mode C veil, and that is 30 nautical miles. What are the dimensions for class A airspace? This starts from 18,000 all the way to 60,000, and then above that you have class E again. Yep. What equipment is required for class A airspace? We have ADS-B out, Mode C transponder, instrument rated, you have to be instrument rated, and so does the plane. Two-way communication radio. What is required equipment for class B airspace? You have Mode C transponder, two-way communication radio, and ADS-B out. What is required equipment for class C airspace? You have Mode C transponder, two-way radio, and ADS-B out. What is required equipment for class D airspace? You have two-way radio and ADS-B out. What is required equipment for class G airspace? This is if you're below 10,000 MSL, no required equipment is no equipment is required. What is required for class E airspace? This is ADS-B out. What are the weather minimums in class A airspace? No weather minimums. What are weather minimums for G airspace? And the way I remember this is pretty much if you're at night, it's 3512. 3512. So that means 3 statute miles of visibility at night. It doesn't matter if you're above or below 1200 AGL. It's 3 statute miles visibility, 1,000 above the cloud, 500 below, and then 2,000 distance from the cloud. If you're during the day and you're above 1,200, you have 1 statute mile visibility, 500 below, 1,000 above, and 2,000 horizontal. And below 1,200 AGL, you have 1 statute mile visibility, and you have to be clear of clouds. What weather minimums are for class E airspace? If you're above 10,000 MSL, it's 5111. So 5 statute miles visibility, 1,000 above clouds, 1 mile away from distance from the clouds, and 1,000 below. If you're 10,000 below MSL, it's the 3211. So 3 statute mile visibility, 1,000 above and 1,000 below, 2,000 horizontal. Pretty sure it's supposed to be 500 below, but. What are weather minimums for class D airspace? This is the 3215. So 3 statute miles visibility, 1,000 above, 500 below, and 2,000 horizontal. Same for class C, 3215, 3 statute miles visibility, 1,000 feet above clouds, 500 below clouds, and 2,000 horizontal. For Class B airspace, it's the 3 statute miles visibility and clear of clouds. What is a TERSA? TERSA is an optional Class C airspace, and it's terminal radar service area. That is it. We are done. All right, my camera literally just died. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you guys gained something from that. Remember, I'm not a flight instructor. Maybe some of those were not as correct as maybe you learned it, or maybe they were in different ways. Yes, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys stayed till the end. Like the video, subscribe if you have gained anything from this video, and peace. The next video will be when I am done with my check ride. So maybe another video in like, I don't know, a week or 2, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know, whenever they get me on the schedule and that DP can come in town. All right, boom. Hopefully that helped. I'll see you guys in the next one after my check ride. Pray for me. Let's go. Wish me some good luck down in the comments. But peace.